Hey folks, William Asmus, Star Sheboygan. If you haven't watched any of my other videos and you really don't know who I am, I'm a gentleman who's worked very, very hard to educate himself the best he can because I was tired of being lied to. And when you can be lied to, you can be taken advantage of, which means they can take your money, they can take your possessions, heck, they can even lock you up in a jail cell. So uh, I've worked very hard. I have 3 college degrees, 2 in science, 1 in arts. Went to college at DuPage, went to Kaiser College in Florida. When I was at college at DuPage, I took every science class I could: anatomy, physiology, chemistry, biochemistry, earth science, you name it, I studied it. And among that, right here to my side, is my little library, which I have 3 books on electromagnetic fields, uh, one on psychopathology, 2 on anatomy and physiology, as well as diagram books of physiology. And on the other side of that is my other library, which contains mostly my astronomy section. So I classify myself as an astrophysicist, biophysicist. I've been studying the universe as well as the human body for over 23 years now. What I've used as my basis is I wanted to know what happens to the electrical energy in the human body when you pass away. And boy, have I come a long way. Now, before I even start, I want to put a disclaimer and let you know that everything I'm about to share with you and tell you is from something either I've seen, I've heard, or I've read. Every human being on earth is being fed information. Whether it's correct or not is the question. And it's very, very hard to discern the difference. So, as a disclaimer, I want you to know that I actually don't know anything because I can only go by what I've heard, read, or seen. And supposedly you can't trust your eyes on this planet. So in any case, the reason I'm making this video is because I have 10 basic core reasons that I've come up with that I believe that when we die, we become a star. We return to our star. And in this video, I will do my best to explain these 10 reasons. Now, I did, for the first time, write down a list of how I want to go down them and do it in hopefully an orderly manner for you. And it's going to get quite interesting, folks. And one of the ways that you can tell when somebody's BSing you is that they'll stutter a lot or they'll look away a lot. I've even studied body language because you gotta know so much. One of the other things before we start that you need to know is that right after 9/11, well, let's just say before 9/11, I thought I was awake. I thought I knew what was going on in the world. I thought I knew, I thought I had a pretty good grasp on it. And at that time, I was 30. I would have been 30, well, 37 in 2000. So I was 37 years old, folks. And I mean, 37, that's a lot of years. You would think that you'd pick up an education in that. It wasn't until after 9/11 and starting to do research and Sadly, listening to Alex Jones, I have to commend Alex. He did wake me up. He does tell half truths. He will guide you to information. So I'll hand him that, but he is also a shill or a gatekeeper. But in any case, I've been posting news every day, folks, every day for 23 years. I have blacklisted news is the best source for news that I've come across. They're generally, almost a week ahead of mainstream media, and they're divulging information that mainstream media is not. And what I like the most about it is that it doesn't have a lean. It doesn't go to the right or the left. It just puts up articles hosted from other sites, like the New York Post, New York Times, stuff like that. And you make your own decision on it. And there's a comment section, and been the best place for news since that I know of. I think they've been on for about 10 years. In any case, along with posting news, I have music on Spotify. I have 6 albums. I'm not a musician, but I don't play kill 'em games like, I can't even Destiny and stuff. I don't get into that. I'd rather do golf. I love to play golf, computer golf, or real golf if I can. And on top of that, I like to look at the stars. I'm always paying attention to the stars, and look what's going on. If you ever get a chance to see an iridium flare, it's pretty outrageous. If you go to a website called heavens-above.com and you just enter your information, it'll tell you everything that's across the sky. It's like having a manual. And I know even on a cell phone, you can download an app called Deep Sky, and all you got to do is hold the phone up to the star, and it'll tell you what the star is. So, pretty cool stuff compared to when I started doing astronomy. Now, to give you an idea of what got me into it, I've always been a pretty smart fella, or at least thought I was, and it wasn't until a summer night in June down in Sarasota, Florida, that I was walking home from work. I used to work at a place called Marina Jack's on the bay. Very beautiful restaurant, top of the line, top cuisine. Worked there for 2 or 3 years, and even was the head chef on Sundays there. So beautiful place, but I'd walk home semi-drunk and semi-stoned, and I was walking down Orange Avenue and looking ahead of me, and I saw this bright orange star going through the tail of Scorpio. And if you've never seen the constellation Scorpius, it's in the south right here. In my direction would be that way. But it's one of the largest, if not the largest constellation in the sky, and quite beautiful. And in the heart of it is called Antares. And what I was, I went to the library and I got books, and I looked up what was going on, and come to find out that was Jupiter that was going through the tail of Scorpius. And I was like, oh, cool. So I went and I got some really neat binoculars. And in fact, a friend sold me a pair of 100 binoculars. I wish I still had them today. 100 by 20 binoculars are beautiful to use for astronomy. They just suck in so much light. You can sit right inside your house looking through your window and pull stuff in out of the sky. It's just amazing. And with that, I got to see Jupiter up close. I looked at Antares up close. And in the tail of Scorpio, the next constellation is Aquarius, which to me looks like a house made out of stars. But what runs through Aquarius and Scorpio is the Milky Way. So you have all these nebulas and globular clusters and neat stars in that area. And you can look with a simple 6-inch telescope in that area, and the treasure hunt is to look for a turquoise star. If you can find the turquoise star in what's called the jewel box in the tail of Scorpio, you know you're a good astronomer and you know your stuff. But there's M6 and M7 down there, I believe, are the two, and they're just magnificent to look at. It's like looking at a complete whole new Milky Way. But they're also nebulas, and they're going to be mentioned here shortly. So, in any case, uh, 23 years later, I'm into electromagnetism in the body and know the stars like the back of my hands. And just to start off with a joke, one time I got pulled over and the cop wanted me to do a sobriety test. And I have neurological issues and I can't do stuff like that. And I told the officer I might not be able to walk in a straight line, but I'll be glad to tell you all the constellations and stars. And he told me just get in my car and go home. So, again, see, having knowledge pays off rather than being stupid and allowing the cop to lie to you and take advantage and maybe take your car, arrest you, ticket you, fine you, whatever. So, in any case, like I said, I came up with these main bases for why I believe that we become stars when we die. And folks, I've studied everything from MK Ultra to the Philadelphia experiment to the Twin Towers to satellites to underground cables to ancient civilizations, and you just name it. You just name it. And if you go to my website, the Planetary Peace Foundation, you'll see that I have the creds that I'm discussing. And as you hear, I'm not stuttering in any way because I'm sure of what I'm saying. So let's get on with it. The 10 reasons why I believe that when we die, we become stars. I decided to start off with the human body. Give you a quick trip through the human body, quick Physiology 101 anatomy class here. Okay, the body's quite unique. And if you don't know it, it's mainly water. And water is H2O. And H2O is hydrogen and oxygen, which contains electric. Yep, electric. Because water is electric. It's ionized. In any case, our body composition, even though it's made up of blood and muscles and vessels and all this other organs, we're really, when it comes down to it, is carbon. And folks, this is the carbon that the elite are talking about cutting down. Not carbon emissions in the air, not carbon in your food or, because cows fart. It's you, folks, that they want to get rid of. You are the carbon one. All right? Now, just to give you a little idea, we are also a magnetic dipole that goes straight down through your body, the spine, and look at the Peruvian man, Michelangelo. He'll show you. Okay? And we have a north and a south pole. Haven't you ever wondered that how you get up in the morning and you know to get out of the right side of the bed instead of the left side of the bed? How do you know that? How do you remember that? Aren't you curious about this? Rather than Jay-Z's new rap song or Beyonce shaking her butt off or Lizzo wanting to stop doing music because, quite frankly, she looks unhealthy and quite disgusting. But in any case, the human body is an amazing thing. And when we die, it has been proven that we lose 3/4 of an ounce of weight. If you break down that weight into electromagnetic energy, it actually comes out to a lot of energy, rather than looking at it as 3/4 of an ounce, because that doesn't sound like a lot. Now, how you know which side is, how you remember to get out of bed on the right side in the morning, and how you remember to drive to work is you have a magnetic compass in your head, just like pigeons do, sharks do, whales do, and they use EMF fields to guide themselves. There's electromagnetic fields surrounding this earth, and they're called ley lines, and I'll get into them in a little bit. In any case, your magnetic dipole interacts with those magnetic fields. But it gets even better than that, because you're a magnetic field and another person is a magnetic field. When you come into contact with each other, personally, I believe that if you don't get along with somebody, it's because of counteractive magnetic fields in each other. Or one magnetic field is highly negative compared to the other one being highly positive. And that's why you interact the way you do, you fight. Okay, because if you notice, most people live in equilibrium and in peace. We don't want to attack each other. We just want to be nice to each other, and respect. I like to respect people. So in any case, when we die, this 3/4 ounce energy leaves the body and travels along these magnetic ley lines and somehow connects to the universal magnetic ley lines, and you travel back to where you began. And why do I say that? Because when you die, if you talk to most physicists, you talk to most pathologists, or even cemetery people, morticians, they will tell you that the body just dissipates when you die. Your energy just dissipates into the air. Okay, now here's the thing, folks. There's something called the law of probabilities. And the law of probability states that when you flip a penny or a nickel, whatever, 100 times, that it'll come up 50 times heads and 50 times tails. So, the way to explain the law of probability is that at the beginning, when you're flipping the coin, you're going to get, 17 heads and 22 tails. Okay, so it'll be out here. But as you get up to 50, it's going to curve back in again. And then it's going to go back out again in between 60 and 70 and 80 and 90. And then at 100, come back in again. Do you recognize what that is? Other than the 8, the infinity symbol, it is also the DNA strand of the human being. So when you die, yes, your energy dissipates and it goes out, but it also comes back into order and higher order each time it goes up and out. And if you study the Egyptian pyramids and Giza, and you look up what's called a torsion field, you will find out that the energy that's in the pyramid is nothing compared to the energy above it and possibly below it in what's called torsion fields. In any case, so when we die, this energy leaves our body and it travels along these ley lines and it goes back into the star where your original symbiosis energy is existing. Okay, even though my physical body is here and my brain is here, I'm also connected to that star still. I'm still connected to the star. Do you understand? Okay. And then there's a third world, which is the dream world. Okay, I really wanted to point this way, the dream world. So you have your start point energy on top. Over here you have your conscious body. And then over here you have your subconscious body. So your start point energy up here is eternal. You'll live, you'll die, you'll constantly return to it. By the way, if you look up the word dissipate in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it means to circle. Mm-hmm. Not to go out of order. But it also means to go out of order. Entropy, okay, to extropy, I think it is, entropy to extropy. In any case, um, these are all interesting points that I'm making here, folks. And realize that I've been studying this a long, long time. And it's taken me 23 years to even get up the courage to do a video like this, because I want to be sure for my listeners of what I'm speaking of. And I want to do it in one shot. So, we're on the human body, and we've learned all this other information and the physiology and how the body works. And by the way, okay, I can't get to that just yet, but let's move into the first reason why I believe that when we die we become stars. And that is that stars also are born, they live, and they die. When they're first born, they're found in nebulas, and they're called the eggs. And then they burst after so many thousands of years. And when they burst, they move into their next stage of life, like humans do, and they become somewhat similar to our sun or our star. Our star, our sun, is a middle of the road Class C star. I believe that's a Class C star. Been a while, folks. So, in any case, its next move or stage in life, our sun, is to become a red giant. And a red giant is huge, folks. And I mentioned Antares and Scorpio before. That's a red giant. And if you look at it, it's nice and beautiful and orange and right in the heart of Scorpio. And it's right south, straight. If you look in the summertime, it'll come up and you go across the sky. It's quite beautiful. In any case, stars also die eventually. And they become compact, and they become sometimes they become neutron stars, which are super heavy. And then there's brown dwarfs, red dwarf stars, which are dead stars that are just like planets that aren't burning anymore. Okay, but it's quite interesting that planets live and die, and they're born, and humans live and die, and they're born. Another aspect, or let's go into number two, is that we're carbon. Remember I said that we're carbon? And if you study Edgar Cayce was a prophet from down in, I believe, South or North Carolina, and he would go into trances and do health readings on people. And then he would make a compress of a liquid, and he would place it wherever the illness was, and after a week or two, the illness would be gone. Now, I did some research into Edgar. Edgar's quite wonderful and interesting to study, and gentleman Dave Wilcock is supposedly his reincarnation. Sorry, little side note here. And he's somebody to look up, Dave Wilcock, and he's quite interesting to listen to. But in any case, he would put cod liver oil in balloons. And if you do your research into cod liver oil, you will find that cod liver oil is almost pure carbon. So, like, I don't know if you've ever heard that you put a potato, on I can't think of it. You put a tomato. You can put a potato on a boil, and it'll suck the boil out. Okay, that's what cod liver oil in a balloon will do when you place it on your body. It'll suck the bad carbon out and replace it with the good carbon. Or at least that was my understanding from what I've read on Edgar Cayce. Well, did you know, folks, that a star is hydrogen and helium, yes, and it's burning on itself and in a violent way, as we see from Soho and Ito, I think is the other, Ito is the other solar observatory that's supposedly observing our sun. Now, once the hydrogen and the helium burn down, a sun or a star basically comes down to carbon, folks. Yep, a star is carbon. It's ashes burning on itself in a highly, nuclear way. Did you know that there's water on the sun? And hey, we have water in us. Isn't that amazing? We have hydrogen in us. In some extent, we have helium. Now, the sun, even though it's in a violent nature, when we wake up every day, it's in symbiosis, isn't it? It's in an even keel. It's in a nice, it's just emitting its light, and it's just, yep, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. In any case, it's in a symbiosis, it's in a peaceful state, but it's also in a violent nature. But if you look at human nature, we're in a peaceful state, but we're also in a violent nature. And it's not we, it's some of them and us. Light givers, evil doers. Not hard, folks. Light givers, evil doers. Positive, negative. In any case, a star works on, and here you can giggle, it's called the PP process. And that is the proton-on-proton process. In other words, the helium and the hydrogen heat up and smash each other so hard that they create protons. And protons are smashing against each other, and they're creating high electrical energy. So high that they have what's called, I want to call them synapses, okay, because they're just like brain synapses in your brain. If you look at a brain scan, you'll see how the brain sends signals from the front to the back, to the lower, to the left, to the right, and such, and mainly up here to the trigeminal nerves, which are connected to the gray matter in the back of our neck here, and go into our spine and then into the cerebral, tough word to say, cerebral spinal fluid. In any case, what's interesting is human beings also work on what's called the PP process. And we work on what's called potassium and phosphorus, which is located in our glycolysis cycle, which is where our ATP, our adenosine triphosphate, switches into adenosine diphosphate, where it loses a molecule because it's creating the electric that's charging me to look left, that's telling me to lift my hand. Okay, we have electrical charge in our body that's constantly happening, folks, if you don't know that. And because we have electric constantly going this way, guess what? We have a magnetic field going this way. So we're electric and magnetic. And folks, the biggest joke that the medical field has played on the human being is that you're bipolar. Guess what? Everybody's bipolar. You have a north and a south. You're a dipole, a bipole, okay? Everybody's bipolar and dipolar. What everybody isn't is a chemical test tube. And by adding one chemical to the test tube is going to start messing up the physiology, right? Like putting Alka-Seltzer in a glass of water, you see it bubbles up, right? Okay, well, when you take a drug, a chemical drug, and you put it in your body, it's going to start to bubble up and have different effects on your physiology, folks. And what's the answer to those effects? To add another chemical. We weren't born with chemicals. We don't need chemicals, folks. Even though, yes, we're hydrogen, nitrogen, all the chemicals are in the chemical chart, okay? We don't need the garbage chemicals. So in any case, isn't it quite interesting that we both work on the PP process, which, if you do numerology on the letter P, it's the 16th letter, or number 7, which is godlike. Okay? So you got 7, master number, and double godlike. Okay? Now, to move on, we're at a half an hour mark. I really want to stop here and take a break, get a soda, have a cigarette, and do my best in the second half. I hope you've enjoyed this information so far. This is all connected to what's called physical physics, is what I've named this information under, and you can find it on my website, which you'll see in the main YouTube channel to your right or left, and just click on it and you'll go to the Planetary Peace Foundation, where you'll find all this information plus more. Trust me, what I'm going to cover in this video series is nothing compared to all the information combined, and the information just keeps coming to me daily. Okay, so I want to wish you and your family peace. I want you to understand that you're listening to somebody that doesn't play the tax division game. I don't divide, folks. I don't love and hate. I don't look at white and black, or at least I try not to. Okay, I'm a human being, and I'll admit that I judge, which is wrong for me to do. But I try to look at people using hearts and minds. That's where we need to connect. Stop this religion nonsense, this white and black, and poor and rich, okay, because everything is fruitless. It comes down to you, your body, yourself, all right? There's a moment where you have to realize that there is a good reason to be a little bit selfish to yourself, and that is to treat yourself good and to guide yourself into your own peaceful happiness existence. So check out my other videos, very informative, very just tons of resources. I'm also a computer programmer. I've helped to build the C++ programming that we're using currently out there, but I did it for free when we'd go to the library and call on the telephone and put the phone in the modem. So in any case, I hope you got a lot of information out of this past 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and I'm hoping that you'll come back for the second part, and we'll continue on why I believe when we die, we become a star. Love and peace, and spread the word.